Hey guys, welcome back to the next episode. I would like to continue modeling a locker. So in order to do that, I press A, X, delete. Then Shift A, image, reference. Before we do that, it's smart to press 1, so we have a perfect front view, and then just repeat Shift A, go to image, reference. My reference in this case, which will be also available for you to download on my Udemy course, I have this one in my locker room folder, reference, locker, reference. So this has been created with AI, and now we can move on and actually start modeling and getting those dimensions right. And it's much easier for us to model when we have a decent looking reference. Okay, so Shift A inside object mode, so we stay inside object mode. Shift A, let's get a mesh, and then we can decide maybe we should use a cube. Then press Q. So if you follow along my previous episodes, we did assign those quick favorites buttons. Okay, so you should have the mirror, display, subdivision surface, bevel, and the toggle X-ray. Okay, so what you don't have is the origin to 3D cursor and the face orientation. So let me just explain to you how you can assign those two as well. Okay, so face orientation is over here, right click, and then just add to quick favorites. And then the next one I use pretty often is origin to 3D cursor. You can get this inside object mode, object, set origin, origin to 3D cursor, right click and add to quick favorites. This is it, and then you should have everything. Okay, so we did assign those in the previous episodes. Those are all modifiers. Okay, bevel, subdivision, displace, mirror. Those are the ones I use pretty often. So on modifiers, just to make sure, you can just click on generate, and then you have the bevel. Also, you can use the array. Sometimes we use the array, but in this case, I'm not using that pretty often, to be honest. You can have the subdivision surface, the bevel, as I told you, and then go to deform, the displace, and let me see what else we have. The mirror. Okay, so mirror is also something you can see in generate, and then mirror. Okay, so just make sure that you have those things assigned to your quick favorites. Then by just pressing Q, you can now toggle X-ray. So just in case if you don't have this as well, you can just click on the top right here, this arrow, and then, no, sorry, I always mix this one up. Just simply click on this one, right click, and add to quick favorites. Okay, so the X-ray mode is pretty nice because now we can look through our reference, and when we click on this cube, all right, on the top right hand side, you can now press tab, or just switch over here. And now let's get the outer stuff here. So basically just the base dimension. So let's just get this. So yeah, once you click on this one and press tab, now you're in X-ray. You can see here you are in X-ray mode, so you can look through the mesh. Now you can just scale this S, X. Let's scale this like so. And now I can see the reference is not really centered. I know that my cube is centered perfectly, but the reference, let's just assign this one instead. So click on this reference, G, X, hold shift, and then you can just move it like so. So we make sure that this one is centered, okay? Now we can click on this cube again. If you have trouble clicking on this because we are in X-ray, you can just click on this one here. And then tab, again, S and X, hold shift, and just move it inwards, and then you can see now this is perfect. And we scale the same on the Z axis, S, Z, and then just move it like so. And when we look on the bottom, we can see it should stop right here. And then let's press 2, click on the top one here. But you have to be careful because when we move the camera, you can see, don't forget the cube is still has two edges here. So what we need to do instead, press 1 again. Make sure you are in this edge mode, so by pressing 2, and then you can just drag select. So now, if I move the camera, you can see that everything here is selected. This is pretty important. Especially as a beginner, oftentimes you forget to select all the things which are here on the back side. And when you only have this one, you are going to screw up your mesh and you don't realize it. Okay, so this is also something you need to make sure that you are always in X-ray mode, and then you just drag select instead of just clicking. Okay, because if you click, you can see you have only this one, and this is not right. So press 1 again. We drag select the top edge, so we have the whole edge, and then GZ holding shift, and then we can just fill this one out as well. Now click on the mesh on the cube, Control A, all transforms. Now let's take care of the depth. Okay, you can see we don't really have an exact reference of the depth. Okay, so we don't only have the front view, but we can just make this like approximately the thickness, or I should say the depth of, maybe if I press tab and then press A, we should do SY. Okay, and then we should decide maybe, so this is like a double locker, maybe the size, you can hide this one temporarily, just click on this and then H, and I think this kind of depth should be alright. Okay, good. And then you can just, I believe, shift H, you can hide everything, and then you can just Control H, no, I always mix this one up, Alt H, yeah, Alt H, sorry for that, and then you can reveal everything again. Okay, let's press 1 again, and yeah, I think, so the depth should be good. Now we need to take care of this thickness here, okay? So we are just taking care of this one, and then we are going to add those doors. So we need some thickness. How can we do that? This is pretty simple to do. Before we do that, we click on this cube, so on this one, stay in object mode, and then Control A, make sure all transforms, as I told you before, is clicked, because we would need to reset all those dimensions and the location and the rotation, everything. We didn't rotate, but we scaled it individually on different axes. So this is why we need to, when you click here on object on the right hand side, you can see now this is all 1, 1, 1. This means this is basically resetting back to 1. Okay, so we just apply the transform back to its like original position, sort of. Otherwise, if you don't do that, like the bevel is not going to work and all that stuff is not really going to work. So this is why we usually have to use this command, Control A, and then we apply the transforms. Okay, this is pretty important. Now let's press Q and toggle the X-ray. You can also just click Alt and Z. This is also how you can toggle if you want. Click Alt Z and Alt Z, and then you can toggle between X-ray and disable X-ray. This is also something you can do. Pretty easy to do, but in my case, I just got used by pressing Q and then click X-ray. It's just easier for me. Don't ask me why, but it's just easier for me. Okay, so now I can directly click on this cube, and then I can. So make sure you press 1 to have this perfect front view. Now let's press tab, sorry, and then 3. Click on this one, so we only have this. Yeah, makes sense. So only the front face. Okay. And press 1 again. Then let's toggle back to X-ray, and then we press I, hold Shift, and we do something like this. Okay. So now we have this inner surface here. Okay. Now we can go out of the X-ray, because now we have the right thickness according to our reference, and then you can simply just press E, and then normally you can see the blue line. If you don't see the blue line, just press, after you're pressing E, just press Y. Yeah, and now you can see this is basically the same snapping like the blue line. We just want to make sure that we snap on this axis, okay? And then you can just hold Shift and just move, and maybe we should again enable the X-ray. Press 3 for perfect side view, and then G, Y. Now you can press G because the face is still selected, and with E, so we did press E before. This means we extruded this face, and now the face which has been extruded now inside, we can just press G, and then we can shift on the Y axis. So just press G and Y, and then you can move it. and it's snapped. So you can only move this in this direction. Okay, and let's maybe define. I mean, this doesn't really matter how deep it should be. It doesn't really matter because we are going to have a door. Should I say door? Yeah, you know what I mean. We're gonna have a door anyway. So I think this should be fine. So we have an approximately even thickness, and then we can already take care of our doors. Okay. Yeah. Let's press 1. And let's go back into object mode, and then we can so I believe the smartest thing we should do is let's exit the X-ray. So let's go out of X-ray. Let's create our door. So how can we create a door? Let's click on this one. Let's go into the object mode, and let's just Alt-Shift click those things so we only have the inner edge selected, and then press F, and then we can just Control R, but not like so. Sorry for that. Let's just P selection, so we have only this one, and we call this one locker front. Locker front. Now let's hide this. Click on this one, X-ray. Press 3 in edit mode, or just press A and then Control R again because we want to have this in the center here. And then Control B, and we want to have a thickness approximately like so. Good. Now we can delete this because we don't need this anymore. But what we have instead is this one. We have 2. We can only work with 1 because we can mirror it later. So what we can do is let's leave X-ray because this is annoying, and then press 3 in edit mode, X, and faces. So we only take care of this one right now. And when we reveal this one, we can see we should only select this, and this edge, and maybe make it a little smaller. Like so. No, this is not a good idea. This one, SZ, just a tiny bit smaller, and this one, GX, and move it like so. So we have a gap, okay? Now let's just hide this one, and we get this, press 1, X-ray. In edit mode, press A, and then Control R. Let's do here. Control B, let's bevel this. 1, 2, like so we have 4 edge loops, like so. And we do the same stuff here. Control R, and the center, Control B, and we do not 4, but 5. So you need to use your mouse wheel to define the amount. So, but in this case we need 5. Now you can select those and those. So like just drag select those things. But you need to be careful. You only need this and this. Okay? Those horizontal lines. And then Control B again, and then scroll down. So we're only doubling basically. And then we should do something like this. Now we are not done yet. We need to Control R again, double click, and then Control B, hold Shift, and we do approximately the size like so. And then we let's click on this, and this. No, this one. And then this one, and this one. Okay. Let's press I, hold Shift. So we do something like this. And then let's move this, G, Y, hold Shift, and let's move it a little bit like so. And then press 2, we get this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Okay, so you can see what I'm selecting here. And we get this, 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 and this. And then we can just G, Y, and do like so. Okay? And also, I would like to have, let's give it even more depth. So just press 3 and hold Shift, and then you click those faces here. We just moved out, okay? And then just G or Y again, hold Shift, so we get a little more thickness, like so, okay? And what we can do then is we click on this face, and this face, and this face. So basically you can see here those faces on the bottom, okay? Then we do the same here. We get this one on the bottom, this and this and this. Press I, hold shift, and do a little bit of something like this. And then let's do SX, hold shift, and we move like so. And then SY, hold shift and move as well. Yeah, you don't need to hold shift in this case. It's, yeah, like so. Good, and then we can just press E, hold shift and move up. Like so. Good. And then what we need to do, otherwise we're gonna get shading issues. Let's just click on this picture, on our reference, and then H. So now we should check our shading, okay? Click on this one, let's go into edit mode, press 2, let's get this one, Alt Shift this, Alt Shift this, this, Alt Shift this, and let's give it some thickness. So let's just E, Y, and we extrude it like so. Yeah, like so. And then you have this whole edge extruded, this whole edge loop here, and just press F. So we are just make it, we close this whole stuff here, alright? Now, what we can do, tab, click on this, Control A, all transforms, and then we stay in edge select mode, in edge mode, and then Alt Shift click, Alt Shift click. This one as well, okay, don't forget this, and this one here, because we want to give it some roundness, some bevel stuff going on here. This one, Alt Shift click this, and Shift click this. So everything is selected. Okay? Yeah. And now we can bevel this separately. Control B, hold Shift, and we bevel this. And then use the mouse wheel, so we have one additional edge loop. So we have 3 in total. And do like so. Okay? So now we have a little bit of roundness. Then what we need to do is we press Control R here and move it really close, like so. Maybe this is not even enough. G, X, hold Shift, like so. And then we do the same here, Control R, and then like so. And then Control R, and then we move this really close. But make sure it's not overlapping, really close. G, Z, so you can readjust, like so. Control R here, Control R here, and then readjust G, Z, hold Shift, and move it really close together, really close. And we do the same stuff here as well, so Control R, move it up, so you can see this is fine, and we do the same thing here, Control R, move it down, G, Z, hold Shift, and move it down really close. We need to do that, otherwise we're gonna have ugly shading issues here. So this is why we are just adding edge loops just around those things here, okay? So now if we click on this, you can activate where is it? Click on this one here, and then you can activate cavity and shadow. Good. Why is this pitch black? Let me see. Is this face orientation? Yeah, it is face orientation. You can see it's perfectly inverted, everything. So this is good. Press A, and if you have this, if it's red, okay? So you can just press Q and see face orientation here, because we assigned that. Or here, face orientation. If this is all red, just Alt N, flip. Okay? If this is partially red, so some things are red, you need to click on those reds, like face select in edit mode, and then Alt N, and then flip those. Good, and now I think we're good to go, so let me just disable face orientation, and I think now we can see we are good to go. Our shading is perfect. Good, so we have some bevel action here. No, we didn't bevel this, right? Yeah, let's click on this one. Let me try something. Let's just click on this face, and then Control plus. Yeah, this is fine. So we can just click on this one, this one. Let me change this so you can see what's going on. So we only click on those top faces here. And then Control plus. So we have everything selected like so. And now what you can do is Control B. I really hope this is working. Yeah. And make sure... I'm not really sure if this is a good idea, to be honest. And we need to click on those anyway. So I missed something. We also need to bevel this. So what we can do, I'm thinking, so what's the best approach to make this? I mean, we don't need to do that, but I'm always this guy. I like to subdivide everything. We can subdivide if you want this. If you want to have this really high quality, like really high, dense. But you can see this is the Catmull clock. Everything gets like the whole hard surface is gone. So what we can do, we just Control R, move this like so, and then Control R, move this like so. And then we need to do this here as well. Control R and then Control B and move this like so. Okay. Let me deactivate the shadow so I can see. Yeah, but this is, I mean, this is fine. We can do this. Now we have this perfect round shape, and then you can shade smooth, and then this looks really good. So we can, this looks really smooth. And you don't have any shading issues. So we can do that but we need to do this here. So let's insert an edge loop here, insert an edge loop here, insert an edge loop here. So Control R and double click. And then we can just Alt Shift click those and Control B. And just make sure, don't overlap, don't do this. Never overlap, or just make it like so. Okay? Otherwise you're going to destroy your mesh. But now it looks really, really nice. It looks really cool. Yeah. You can also strengthen this one. Yeah, when you have an edge loop here. Okay, so make sure. You can even bevel this edge loop. Now we're going really high poly. Like so. This is also something we can do. But make sure, but mind this is not really high poly, right? And like really high quality. Good. So yeah, let's do this. So let me change the viewport. So I want to have an edge loop here, and bevel this. So I think this is better. An edge loop here, double click, Control R, double click, and then just do this. Control R, double click, Control B, Shift, drag. But make sure don't do this, okay? Always keep it inside those loops. And then Control R, double click, Control B, Shift, drag. Okay. Oh, sorry for that. And we do the same thing here as well. So we also can do something like this. Control R, double click, Control R, double click, Control R, double click, Control R, and here double click. And then Alt Shift click, Alt Shift click, Alt Shift click. Control B, Shift, drag. Like so. Good. And if you see, you still have like this topology is not really accurate here. You can Shift click this. Maybe GX. No, let's do Control B. Yeah, so you have an additional edge loop. But this is something I don't really want. Do I have the same problem here? No. I think down here it looks fine. So let me check the topology here. I'm sorry for that. So how can we find a way to fix that? So don't do something like this. This is really horrible. So the best thing you could do is add another edge loop here. Then add another edge loop here. But let's undo that, because no. Still, we do this. Let me just check what kind of edge loop we need in order to make this look really good. So maybe this one. So I just put another edge loop in between. And then you can also do another one here. But this is not really fixing things, so we don't need that. So yeah, let's increase the subdivision, and let's see. Now it looks really nice. So we have like a combination of hard surface, but still with like a lot of definition and some like really smooth edges. So you can see what subdivision is doing here basically. So if you want to go really like high poly here, we can do that. Good. And when you're encountering like tiny shading issues here, you can just get rid of this doing this. Okay, so I really want to have this high quality. I want to make it look really, really nice. And later on, if you want to have this optimized for gaming, you can like anytime you can just dissolve edges. It's like dissolve edge loops. Like most of those edge loops you don't really need. You can get rid of the subdivision. Of course, your mesh is going to look flat and more sharp, but then you have a low poly mesh. Okay. Good. So this is how we have a locker here. Let me see the reference. What else do we need to add? So we need to add those things here, right? Yeah, let's do that. So let me get this and this, and then let me get rid of this reference here. So let's mirror this. You can see the pivot is in the center here. This is perfect. So we can just Control A all transforms just to make sure. Okay, so just Control A and all transforms, and then press Q and then mirror, and it's already mirrored perfectly. We don't need clipping because they're not really overlapping here. And then just when you're inside here, Control A. So we apply this directly. Good. Now we need to model this thing here. So we need to have stuff here in between. So what we can do, let's click on this one, on this box, Control R, and just double click. So we have a perfect edge loop in the center. And while we're doing this, let's press 1, and then we can do Control V. And let's do, oh come on, let's do like so. So we have a little bit of space here. And now we can just, let's hide this. We can just click on this, press 3, click on this, and we can let's click on this on the bottom here, and then X faces. So let's just make sure that we delete this. Okay. The reason why I'm doing that is because when we delete this as well, we can just click press 2, click on this, and then this one, and then F. Then we can click on this, and we click on this. Make sure you shift click and then F, and then click on this one, and over here shift click and F. Okay, so now this one is perfect for us. Good. And then press A, M, and then merge by distance. So just to make sure everything is merged. Let's reveal the front here. And now you can see this one is also fixed. And now we can give it maybe a little bit of depth, so we can just click on those doors here, locker, those front things, and then G, Y, and then hold Shift, and then you can move it maybe inside if you want to, just a little bit, or maybe outside. But I think just maybe a tiny bit like inside is good. But I think it looks a little bit stupid, so let's do like so. Still, I don't like that, to be honest. So let's do like so. Good. Now let's take care of the those things. I will just add them separately. So what we can do is, when we only reveal our reference, Shift A, and then let's get a cylinder, and then let's just S and scale it down, S, Z, and scale it up, then just S and scale it down, and let's press 1 again, and then we can just G and check the reference here. Let's do X-ray, and then we can just cylinder, scale it down, and then SZ to scale it up. And now I give myself a little bit of freedom, because let me Control A in object mode, all transforms, right click shade smooth in object mode, no, shade auto smooth. Yeah, this is better. So what I can do is go back in edit mode, Control R, double click, Control B, let's do like so, and then this one and this one, Control B, maybe like that. Press 3 and then Alt Shift click, and we can extrude. Let's do Alt E, extrude along normals, and let's just do it like so. And then we can get rid of this. Shift click this, X faces. And also I want to get rid of this, so I just Alt Shift click, and get rid of those faces. So now I have something like that. Press 2, Alt Shift click, let's fill this one. And then this is like you can do Control T. But the problem is, when you do Control T, you cannot really bevel it. So what we need to do instead, Alt Shift click this edge loop, and then Control B. And let's do three edge loops, like so. And then you can get this one. Press 3, click this one, Control T. Okay? And we do the same here. You can also make this interesting if you want a little more interesting. Press 2, select this whole edge loop, and then maybe let's fill this, Control B, and then you can only select this face here, and then maybe inset this, and then you can maybe just E and Shift and drag it down, like so. And you can even do another one if you want, or maybe just do it like so. You can do like different things. So let's do like so. Press 2. Select this edge loop, and this, and Control B. And now you have a perfect shape. So give yourself a little bit of freedom, because it's a tiny thing here. It's not a big deal. Control A, all transforms, and you know what? Let's select this one. So now everything's selected here, X and faces. Because still this one. Now I think everything's gone here. And now we can press 2 again, Alt Shift click, and then ES. Maybe let's do like so. And then EZ, like so. And then again ES. This is not really smart. ES, like so. EZ and down. Okay, so just some rough ideas what you can do. Select all those edge loops, and then Control B, hold Shift, and make them soft. shade smooth. Good. And let's check the face orientation. And this is fine. Good. Let's do also this one. And also this. And this one. And this. Good. Shade smooth. So yeah, I'm not an engineer or work in construction or something, so I have no idea. It just needs to look good. Now we can reveal the whole locker here. Get this cylinder, G, Y, and let's put it here. Maybe make it a little bit bigger, but let's do this in object mode. Select everything in edit mode, and then S, and just scale it a little bigger. And then G, Y, and do it like, maybe just a little bit like so. Maybe this is too much. G, Y, boom. I think this is fine. Let's leave X-ray, and then you can, no, let's not leave X-ray because I need to know what's going on. So click on the cylinder here, Control D, and then Z, put it here. Again, Control D, Z, and put it here. Now, we can leave X-ray. Click on this, Shift click. You can see the pivot here when we press 1. The pivot is still in the center. This means we can press Q and mirror this. Okay, so it's perfectly mirrored. The mirror is always, like, you have to check the pivot point. So he's always using the pivot point here. Let's just apply this straight away. And we are good to go. Fine. Now we only need a handle. Let's do like a basic handle. Yeah, let's do, I don't know, Shift A. Let's do a cylinder, RX90. Let's scale this down, roughly the size we need. So, and then GX over here, maybe just a little bigger. GY, move it here, and then SY and move it like so. And scale it like so. Okay, we can also do this here, I believe. So let me just hide this. We can also create a hole here. Yeah, let's do that. Because it's going to look much better later when we texture. So let's delete this. We can do this here. Go in edit mode. And then let's do Control R, like so. And then B, Control B. Let's do 4. Yeah, let's do 4. And then Control R, this one, double click, Control B, and let's do 4 here as well. And make sure this has approximately like this perfect square. And then we can just select those, right click, loop tools, and then the circle. If you don't have this, you can get the loop tools here. Edit, preferences, add-ons, and then you can just search for loop tools. Just activate this, okay? And then you can right click, loop tools, circle. Okay? Now, we have this. So it's pretty easy, basically, to recreate this within our locker. And then we can just E and extrude this like so. Now you can see, because we have this subdivision enabled, let's disable the subdivision. And then you can just press 2, get this one, Alt-Shift click, so make sure the whole loop here is selected. And this one at the same time. And then Control B, and then we can just do this. But I think 2 is fine. No, let's do 2, because we are going to subdivide this anyway. And then we can select this, E, Shift. No. Let's do I, So we need to make it a little smaller. So we have a rim or an edge here, and then E, do like so. And we can separate this, so P, selection, this one. Now, what we can do, press 1, what we can do now is, press 2, let's get those. Or we can fix this. I'm thinking. So we need some kind of handle, right? Let's delete this. We don't need that. Let's delete this. X, delete. Because when we click on this one, press 2, we can just click this whole edge loop here, and then press F, and then we can P, selection. So we have a clean, like a clean circle here. And we can just press 3, click on this, right click, and then subdivide. Oh, subdivide is not really going to work. Okay. Let's use the knife tool. Press K, click on this edge here, and then on this, and then enter. Yeah. Also, press K, let's do like so. As I'm just experimenting here. This and this, enter. And then let's just click on this, and then Control B, and make something like that. Okay. Then let's click. Let's press 1. Let's get this one, and let's press S, X, and move them together. Maybe just a little bit, and then we can click on this one, press 3, and click on this one, and then we can just extrude this. Okay. I hope you get the idea. And then press A. Tab, Control A, all transforms, tab again, Control B, and bevel that. Let me just make sure that we are not overlapping here. Let me hide this. I don't want to have this overlapping stuff. In fact, we do. So let's get rid of this. Control Z a couple of times. Let me hide this. Let's press 3, click on this one, Control plus, Control B, and then let's just bevel this. Only this one. And then you can click on this one, and shift click this one, Control T. Just to triangulate, because we don't want to have any n-gons. Now we have all tris, we have like triangles around here, and we have perfect n-gon, not n-gons, clean faces here. Okay? Let me see how this is going to look. And then we can subdivide this as well. Okay, so we do have some shading issues, but we can get rid of those. Let me just undo the triangulation here. Yeah, let me just undo all of this. Maybe we can do this a little cleaner. Yeah, maybe we can do this a little cleaner. Let me hide this again. So let's go back to this state, and then we can press 2, get this, and just bevel this one, like so. Extrude, and then Control plus, Control B. Let's do 3 edge loops, like so. Maybe this is yeah, I think, yeah, this is fine. And then we can just Control R and fix this. And we can fix this. Let's try shift clicking those 2 faces. Control T. And this is fixing the issue. Yeah, for the most part. Good. And then right click, shade smooth. Perfect. Good, and then we can reveal this one again. And we can also again click on this monitor here because we were deactivating or disabling the subdivision preview. And now you can see this looks pretty nice. And we also can get rid of this shading issue here by simply getting another Control R. And just do it like so. And then Control R, do it like so. And maybe you can also do it like so. Control R. And just to make sure, Control R and this one. Good. Let's get this one, this whole edge loop here, and then Control plus, because I think this is way too big. G, Y, let's move it like so. And then this one, tap and click on this one in object mode, G, Y, and do like so. Okay. And then we can deactivate, we can enable this one again, the subdivision. Now this looks much better. So the reason why I'm just melting this into the door is because we can when we bake our texturing maps, this is going to look really good. So it's going to look much more realistic. And if you're not even satisfied yet, you can even go, maybe for example, click on this and just shift drag like so, and then maybe do E and like so. And then Control R in the center here, and do something like that. Control R and drag it up, like so. If you want to have this. When we disable the subdivision, you can also get this face here, this and this. GY, move it more to the side. Press 2, get this whole edge loop here, and Alt Shift click this one, Alt Shift click this one. So the inner edge loop, Control B, and do like so. And now, if you want to have this, this is just up to you if you want to have something like that. But I believe we shouldn't do that. It's not really something I want to have. This is enough. Good, and then we can click on the door again, tab, back in edit mode, press 1, let's go into the X-ray, and let me make sure that I select the whole, like the right side, everything here, like completely everything, X, faces, and then I click on this one, so I leave X-ray, I click on this door, Q, and mirror. Okay. At the same time, we can also click on this one, Control A, all transforms, Q, mirror, and then tab in edit mode. Let's apply this one for the grip here, for the handle. Let's go inside here, Control A, and we can also apply the subdivision already just for the handle, and then tab, and let's click here, and then you can press L. So we only select all of those things here, okay? And you can see this is quite an interesting topology, I believe. And then you can just rotate this. Press 1, make sure that you press 1, and then just press R, and you can just rotate this. Maybe like so. And Control I to invert the selection, so we have this one. And then press 1 again to make sure you're in perfect view, front view. And press R, and just rotate this until you think this is right for you. Maybe this still looks stupid. Yeah, let's do like so. Control I, and maybe we should have this both like this because it's closed, right? Yeah, so we should have this. Control I and this one. Otherwise, I think it's going to look weird. Good. And now you have a really nice looking and clean. I mean, still it's fairly high topology, but you have a really nice and clean looking locker, a double locker, and we can use like two. So one whole stack here, and maybe we can just have another one here. Now we prepare the UVs, and then we go to texturing. Okay, so UV. I know UV is a tedious process sometimes, but you can save a lot of work. Let me just hide this reference, and we hide this one, and we hide this, and we hide this. and oh, sorry for that. Let's just click this one, this, and this. Yeah, Control A inside here, Control A, and this one. Okay, so this is already assigned. This is pretty weird. So let's shift select all those, and then Control J. Okay, so we join this stuff. Good. And now we can hide this with H. Let's save, file, save as, and we get into the I switch to documents, Blender files, exports, locker room, new folder, and we call this one lockers, and we call this one lockers, save as. Okay, let's do the UV. Oh yeah, before we do UV, we should bevel this. Let's get this edge. Let's get this. This. We should also bevel this. Let me try. Yeah, this is good. Okay, so we bevel this one. Get this, and that. Also here, this one, this, and this, and this. And we need to bevel this. So, and then this one, and this, and this. Make sure you have this exactly like I have here. So you don't basically need this. Oh, this one. So basically every edge except for those two here on top. This one, we don't need to bevel this. This one we don't need, and we don't need those, okay? But make sure you bevel all those things. And then Control B, and then you have something like that. Good. This is making a huge difference. If you just click on this, shade smooth, it's making a huge difference, especially in texturing. Alright, now the texturing process. We need to prepare UVs for this. So the best thing you can do is you mark seams. So I know many people, they just select everything, press U, and then Smart UV Project. But the problem with a Smart UV Project is it's not always going to work if you want to have a clean result. Especially if you have stuff like wood, and it has fibers, and it's all like the direction is not really right and all that stuff. So I mean, this is not wood, but we still want to have good topology. The smartest approach is to use mark seams. So when let me switch back to this black, or this dark shading here. Let's get this inner edge, okay? So Alt Shift click. So I want to have this inner edge. At the same time, I want to have this inner edge. So make sure it's this one here. This. Then make sure we also need to cut this one. We cut this one. We don't need to cut this. This is pretty stupid. Yeah. And we don't need to cut this. What is this? Pretty annoying. So we take care of this in a minute. But we don't need that for now. And we don't need that for now. So when you cut UVs and you mark seams, you always have to think you are basically converting a 3-dimensional object into a 2-dimensional object. You are wrapping it, you unwrap it into a 2D texture. So this is why we need to think 2D. And this is why we have to adjust our seams. So when you can see now, we have a whole edge loop here, which will be our UV seam. This means that this whole thing here will be projected as clean as possible. And we can just completely use a nice UV texture without any stretching, okay? The same we are going to do with this edge here, okay? So now we have a perfect edge loop inside. Then we have a perfect edge loop here inside, okay? Also, we need to unfold this one so that we have also this, okay? Unwrapped as clean as possible. We can see this is not really right. We want to have this unwrapped, okay? This means that we also need to cut this here. So make sure this is connected. you can't have any gaps here, okay? This is a gap, you can't have any gaps. Now this is perfect, so make sure that you have no holes and you want to cut here. So now basically this is completely cut without any gaps. This is completely cut without any gaps. This one, I mean, we don't even care about the bottom because we will never see that. This is completely cut without any gaps, right? Yeah. And this is completely cut, and then we can also cut this backside here. No, this is not right. This one. And this one. You can see there's still a gap, but we're going to fix this in a minute. And we do this and this. And we need to cut here. Okay, so this is connected, this is connected. We don't need to cut this. So basically only the corners, okay? And then this one we need to connect without any gaps. We don't need that, we don't need that. And then we get this one here in the middle. And we get this one. We get this. This is connected. We get this one. Okay, and I think there was a gap here. No, it's perfect. Good. And we don't need to cut this. This is pretty useless. And we don't need to cut this. So I hope you understand how to cut UVs now. We don't need to cut this. Good. So what's really important is that you don't have any gaps in it, like all those seams are connected. Good, and then you can just press U and then mark seam. Now the red lines are our seams. This is pretty annoying because why didn't I see that before? This one and this, press U, clear seam. We don't need seams over there. So basically on those flat things here, we don't need to cut anything. We only cut edges. Or, yeah, right. We only cut edges basically. Okay. Now, let's make sure that we, in object mode, Control 8, all transforms again, press 1. Let's go into object, edit mode again, press A, U, and then unwrap, angle based. When we click on UV now, you can see everything is now really clean. So the only difference is, this is, we need to fix that, unfortunately. So what we can do is, let's click on this, UV select mode, this one. Now we can get this. This is, no, sorry for that. Let's click on this face, and then this one, UV sync selection. Now we can see, when we click on face, we can see this, and we do know that we have, what is this? Okay, sorry for that. So this one is this. Okay. So we should rotate this, right? Let's do, what you can do, press A, and then from here, UV, pack islands, but don't rotate, only scale. Okay, but unfortunately it's not really fixing the issue, so what we can do is just rotate this. Oh, this is pretty horrible. Why is he this one and this, right? Yeah, let's unwrap only those. Unwrap angle based. No. Okay, so I have no idea why he is. Let me just unwrap everything again. Let's do conformal. Let me get this one here, UV select mode. Let's rotate this. And then let me get this face. So basically, I believe we forgot a cut, right? Did we forget a cut? Let me go back. I think this is the reason why it's not really working. So where is it? Let me check all those things, because I think there's something is not really connected. Yes, it is. Here. This is the reason. Frame selected. So you can see, this is what I told you, everything needs to be connected. So mark C, this edge. So everything needs to be connected. So a tiny mistake. This is why preparing UV sometimes can be a pain in the ass. And then select everything, U, unwrap, angle based. Now, finally, we should be fine. Yes, now we're good. And then you can just drag select everything, or press A, go to UV, and then pack islands. But make sure, where is it? I'm blind. UV, pack islands. Only scale, don't rotate, and pack. Then Blender's making sure that everything is like as big as possible, and we're not wasting space. Good. So this one is already enough for us. We can see everything is like vertically, and we can, when you're not sure what this is, you can just click on this one here, on this arrow, sync selection, and then you can click on this, press 3, click on this, and now you can see, this is the bottom, this is the bottom. So what we can do here as well, yeah, I mean, you can also just click on this. This is also a tip. When you have UVs, when you mark your seams and there's no gap, you can just hover over it here and press L. Because pressing L means we are selecting the whole UV chunk, as you can see here. We're always selecting the whole chunk, only that UV island. Okay? So just hover over it and then press L. So this one, we will never see this. So what we can do when you just hover over that, this one, you can basically just get this and press S and scale it down, because we will never see that anyway. And then A, I press A again, and then UV, and oh, I forgot something. Maybe we should, because a locker, we want to place items, right? So we want to place items here. Let me just get this really quick. Let me just get a this one, for example. Control and this one as well. Control Shift D, Shift D. Click middle mouse button, or you can click Z, and then let's do something like this. Yeah, and then we can just E and Z, and then we can do that. Then Control Plus to select everything we have here. Okay. And then U and mark seam. So all those edges are marked. Now we can press A again, U, unwrap, and then angle based. And then you can hover over this, press L, go to UV editing. Now we have this one. We don't need that because this is the bottom. And we can scale it down like so. Press A here again, UV, and then pack islands. Pack, but don't rotate. Okay. This is pretty stupid. Just forget what I told you. Just pack islands. You don't need to do that because... no, actually, it is. It is. Don't forget what I told you. It was right. We're still saving a little bit of space. Alright, and then let's take care of those. Let's save, Control S. And then let's take care of the lockers here. This one. Let's leave the X-ray. Yeah, object mode. So I didn't apply the mirror, as you can see. And what we can do here, and I didn't apply the subdivision, let's deactivate the subdivision and also deactivate mirror. Press 2, and we do the same stuff here. We mark the seams. So let me press 1 first, click on one vertex here, and then Q. In my case, I have frame selected. If you don't have frame selected on Q, you can go here, View, and then frame selected. And then you have this perfect focus here. Press 2, and let's get this, and then let's get this. Let's get this. So we make sure that there's no gap, and this, and this. And we do this one, and the same thing we do here, this one, this, and on top we do the same exact thing. Sorry for that, sometimes it's really annoying. So this and this, and this one. Good. Then let's just mark seam, press U and mark seam. And now we can focus on, we need to unwrap those. So frame selected, we need to unwrap those. So let's Alt Shift click this loop, this, and then also this inner loop, and this inner loop. And see on the other side that everything is connected. I mean that there is no gap. Okay, and we do the same stuff here. So we need to mark this seam, this seam, this one, and also this, and this. U mark seam, press A, U unwrap angle based. Yeah, now this is much better. Yeah, you can see this is much more straight. Now we have those here. We can straighten this. You can see this is not really straight. I mean, it's much better now. But we should fix that. And we can try to fix this by simply clicking on this edge, then click on this, right click, align vertically. Align vertically, align horizontally, and this one, align horizontally. So I was just clicking on those inner edges and just, this is vertically aligned, horizontally and horizontally. Now I click on face, on this inner face here, you can see, now this is perfect, right? So it's perfectly aligned. And then I can just press L, and then right click, follow active quads. And now you can see everything is perfectly straight. Okay, and then A to select everything, UV, pack islands, scale, only scale, and pack. Boom, this is it. Alright, then you can, because since now this is unwrapped perfectly, we can get this. Click here, Control A, subdivision. Yeah, let's apply this. And then you can also get this one here, press Control plus, just keep holding Control plus until you have everything selected, but you can also just click one, go into the X-ray, and make sure you drag select everything. This is quite faster. Go into UV editing, so that since this is the same UV, you can just G, X, and move this like so. Then press A, and then UV, pack islands. Again. So now we have, otherwise this is going to be the same UV, and then we have the same texture. It's pretty boring. It doesn't look real. Alright, yeah, and then we only need the, we need this one, so this is pretty quick in my opinion. We can just select everything. In this case, I will just try Smart UV Project. Yeah, let me see. This is enough. I mean, this is fine. It's not perfect, but it's just a small handle, so this is fine. And those things here as well. In this case, because I'm lazy, I don't need to, because those are so small things, we can just, in edit mode, press A, U, and Smart UV Project, unwrap. And you can see it's all, I mean, this is okay. Looks good. Okay. Now we have unwrapped everything. Everything looks nice. We can hide again this reference. And now, I mean, it looks quite alright. Yeah, so let's call those things here. Hinge. I just googled that, to be honest. Yeah, locker front is okay. Locker and what is this? Handle. Okay. Now, this one. Click on the material here. Let's get this material and we call this one the same, locker. Then we get this one. Click on the plus. Double click here. Locker front. Click on hinge. Click on new. Double click hinge. Handle. New. Double click handle. And we can get rid of this. Yeah, we can get rid of this reference. Good. Now we have separate materials. This is pretty important that you have, when you click on everything, that you have separate materials. Okay. And now we go to texturing. So shift click everything. Let's Control S to save, and then File. Oh, sorry. First, let me make sure that everything is assigned. All modifiers are assigned, and also let me just shade smooth everything. So just press A, right click, shade smooth, and so far it looks really good. Okay, so just press A again in object mode, file, export, FBX, and we call this one lockers and selected objects here, and then export. And let's save again. And now let's texture. Right, now I am in Substance Painter. You don't need to follow along because I will provide you the textures. So I will provide you basically everything. Yeah, so let me just demonstrate what I do here. I click on New, 4K as a preview. So this is only a preview, right? You can change the export anytime. And then PBR metallic roughness is fine for us. Choose, or whatever it is. I mean, sorry for that, it's German here, but you get the idea. Then Blender files, export, locker room, lockers, and this one. You just export it from Blender. Open this one. Okay. And also make sure, if you follow along in Blender, check the face orientation. So everything needs to be blue. Every single thing needs to be blue. Otherwise, yeah, it's not going to look good. Trust me, you're gonna have some shading issues. All right, and we should start with. Why don't we just start with the most important thing, which would be the locker front. Okay, let me just delete the layer here. Get a new one, a fill layer. So this is called fill layer, I believe. And we can work with the metalness, but I think it should have a paint. Let me open the reference. Reference. So, yeah, we're gonna have some rust, okay? Especially around here, maybe around the handle, we're gonna have some rust, and maybe more rust here, around those edges, okay? So rust is usually on the bottom, because you have more like moisture, I believe. Yeah, and some dust, some dirt, but I think we should have like a blue greenish paint, and beneath we can try to get some like metalness stuff. So yeah, let's try. Let's see what we can do. So we start with the front. So let's start. We use this one and we call this one base color. So let's only get the base color. Before I do that, let me change the lighting. Shift right click. You can change the lighting. Maybe to something like this. And also let me give some shadow. Yeah, like so. So just make sure that the lighting is not like this, but also not like this. Okay, so have something in between. Like so. So always make sure before you start painting or texturing that your lighting is beautiful until you're satisfied. So until you have settle lighting, not too strong, not too weak, but you have good and like a nice shadow around those things here, and then you're good to go. Now, yeah, let's do like so. So I'm always taking my time until I'm satisfied with an angle. You can see here reflection, so I'm always doing all that kind of weird stuff just to see how it behaves against the light. Okay, so let's do a base roughness of 0.45 maybe. Yeah, and then we get a base color of like something in between blue and green. Maybe more blue. Yeah. But not too much. So like a light blue gray should be fine. And just a little darker. Maybe something like that. So this is just the base color. You can also just Control C and do this for the locker. So let me delete the layer and just paste it here. So this is the same base. So for the front, so let's get back into the front. We can already start with getting some rust, I believe. Yeah, let's do some rust. Before we do that, we need to bake. Trust me, it's going to look good. We go to mode and then baking this one. We don't need ID. Let's do 4K here. We don't need yeah, let's just disable ID. And then low poly as high poly, yes. We can use anti-aliasing. Let's do 16 to make it a little more smooth. And then, yeah, let's try that. Baking. So now he's baking every single mesh. And then we have information, like curvature, thickness. So yeah, curvature and ambient occlusion, those maps are pretty important to have to get really good results. I can see around the handle, unfortunately I have some UV stretching. The reason why I have a little bit of UV stretching here is because I subdivided after using UVs. After cutting UVs, this is always a problem, because when you have UVs and then you do the subdivision to make it smooth and high res, of course he's always going to bend the topology, you can see here. This is always a problem. So technically you should do the subdivision first, and then then mark your seams and then do UV. But the problem is, the more when it's already subdivided, you have so much density that cutting UVs is a pain in the butt. So this is why I didn't cut the UVs after subdivision. But we will just see if this is going to work out. If not, if we have obvious stretching, I will obviously fix this. Okay, and then let's get back to the paint mode. And you can see here, this is why is it so dark? It's because we need to get rid of the ambient occlusion. Here, texture, set, you need to click on this. Let's get rid of the ambient occlusion. No, not this one. Handle, ambient occlusion. This. Actually, it looks fine. Actually, we don't need to delete. Let me see. No, this is fine. We don't need to delete for now. Okay. So, we are now, let's do this one here. The locker front. Here, this is the problem. This is ambient occlusion. So, let's get rid of ambient occlusion. And now it's fixed. And also normal. Okay. Now let's get some rust. What we can do, we create another fill layer and we call this one rust. And then we get a smart mask. Yeah, it's called smart mask, and let's get some cavity rust. Let's try this. Just drag it here inside the mask. Okay, as you can see, it's pretty aggressive around those cavities. So I tried different things. Maybe we can also use dirt ground, maybe. This is not really what I want. This is not really what I want. Edge rust. Yeah, this is much better. This looks pretty nice. Okay, I was just trying out a couple of things, so don't mind that. Now we can play with those values. But you can see it's pretty clean, right? So the rust, I mean, it doesn't really look natural when the rust is like completely following along. And also this is quite strong here. So it doesn't look really realistic. So what we can do, we get a, let's go to texture. And let's get a grunge, like some kind of grunge texture. Maybe like something like this, and we can just put it on top and then go to instead of normal, go to multiply. Now you can see we get some variations, and then you can crank up the balance or just decrease, and you have something like this. Just decrease. Okay, now this looks much better. Contrast, so make it. So maybe this looks a little more like rust, just to increase the contrast a little bit. And at the same time, you can also get a levels. I believe it's called levels here. And then crank this up. And this one. And now this looks more more like rust. If this is just too strong, you can just do like so. Just make something like this. Alright. I'm quite satisfied with this. So now let's get the roughness. So it should be less reflective. So let's just increase the roughness to maybe something like 0.85. So you can see that this has less reflection. Let's even get 0.9. Height, let's decrease the height. Just a tiny bit. Don't do something like this, it looks horrible. Just a tiny bit. And then you can go back to the levels and still adjust that until you think this looks like a peel, like peeling off. Good. You can see when you go here, it has a little bit of stretching here, for example, but this is okay. It's not perfect, but it's fine. If you have obvious stretching, of course you need to fix your UVs, but this one is quite alright. Then the base color, we should have something like orange, red. Maybe. Okay, so let's do maybe less color here. And It's still pretty bright. Why is it still pretty bright? Let's do like so. And then we can, I mean, it's also the HDRI, it has a bluish tint, this is why. So let me see. No, not this one, sorry. Let's get a studio maybe. Yeah, this is much better in terms of like checking color. So maybe something like this. And then now you can see we lost our color, so we can now implement more. Yeah, something like this. And then let's go back to Rust. Yeah, this is perfect. Maybe a little more red. Yeah. Okay, and then we can play with those rusts, the strength of the rust. So let's go to grunge concrete, increase the balance. And let's just decrease. Maybe like so. Just play with those values. And then the levels is pretty important. Okay. And then increase contrast. So you can see I'm taking my time here. Yeah, this looks much better. Much more interesting. And maybe we should duplicate this layer. Where is it? Just right click and duplicate layer. And then we can get rid of everything here. Or let's just delete the mask. And then we get a new one. Smart mask. There's something like ground or like rust drips. Let's try this because I need additional rust here. So moss from top is, where is it? Ground dirt, maybe this one. Yeah, this one should be fine. And then I get another texture. Just a grunge. Maybe this one on top. Change it to multiply. Now you can see this is what I want. And then we can just make it more like this. Sharper. Let's go to this smart mask here, grunge map, and then something like that, and we should not go too crazy, maybe like so. And then let's use a level. So now I'm doing a voiceover because I'm I was recording way too long and my audio got cut off, so I need to do a voiceover here in the end. And don't mind that my nose is a little I don't know, I have a slight cold, so don't mind that I sound a little silly here. But yeah, I'm just trying to talk over what I'm doing here. So basically, just to finish this off, if you want to have really good realistic textures, you need to know your skills regarding height information, roughness, variation, and color variation. So this is basically it. When I talk about height, when you see the roughness spots, I added a separate layer, as you can see, just a layer, and then you can only activate your height channel. when you have the height channel, you can use a texture, like a grunge texture, or a noise texture. It's perfectly fine. Just use a grunge texture or a noise texture and drag it into the height channel. Then you realize that the height is way too strong. But just like in Photoshop, just decrease when you see on the top right above your channel. You have this base color, basically. Click on the arrow, you can change the base color to roughness or the channel into height. So click on height and then you can change the strength. This is pretty important. So I always, when I only want to have like slight bump or slight like uneven bumpiness on top of a layer, or maybe in this case a rust, change from like your strength from 100 to down to even 1 or 2 or 3. You really have to lower it, that you can see like a slight bump. So this is what I did, and the problem is when you're only activating a height channel and you load in like a bump map or like in this case like a noise map or a grunge map, it is covering the whole asset. So what you can do is just right click on your height channel, just add a black mask, so you basically hide everything, and then inside this mask right click and then add a paint layer. And just make sure that you paint it white, so you can always toggle, just like in Photoshop, toggle with X. So make sure that you paint it white. Even like you don't need like this regular default soft brush. You can also just click on your brush and get maybe like a concrete brush or like a some kind of dirt brush. So you also get like some variations inside your brush. And then you can just simply paint. You can simply just repaint your bumps. And this is what I did here. That I only get those bumpiness, like this grunge height information, inside my rust spots. So get a small brush, change the size, and only paint inside those rusty spots. Because rust is not flat, right? Rust is always really bumpy and noisy. Also, when you look at the paint, so this is the next stuff I did, the next step, I got like a different grunge map, so a new layer, a different grunge map, and put this also just into the height channel, and then I decreased the strength of the height, so from 100 I just decreased it down to 1 or 2. On top of that, just get a black mask to hide everything, and then you can add a paint, and then just paint this newly added height information only on the flat painted surface. Okay, so you can basically distinguish between your rust bumpiness, and then you have like a different style of bumpiness on your paint. And maybe try to get something like like a directional height information, so that it looks like someone is painting like from top to bottom, like vertically, so that you have like these lines, like bumpy lines. Yeah, just play around. So you don't need to tile. For example, if you change the tiling or stretch the tiling inside your channel, you can also click on the lock and tile separately, just to get like a stretch maybe, and also rotate. And then this is what I was aiming for, like a directional, vertically height information, as you can see here. And then I was just stretching the UVs, the tiling, the repetitions, rotated 90 degrees to get this vertical shape, and then it looks really nice. And then on top of your paint, like when you click on your paint layer, just right click and get levels. Always finish your stuff with levels, and then you can adjust basically like the sharpness and how much you want to reveal. It's basically working like a contrast, and like how strong you want to have this effect, or like how sharp and how soft you want to have it. Always finish your channel, or like always finish your layer with a separate levels. It's pretty important. So yeah, this is what you do. And after the bump channel, so after I got all my height information, like my bump information, I created like separate channels for color variations, and then I created a separate channel just to get reflective spots. So then I only activate a separate channel with only roughness value. The roughness value is like, I use like 0.2, so really low. It means more reflection. So you have this shiny effect, and then just get like a texture, like a smudge or a smear texture, and then you can just get this effect when you look when you use different lighting scenarios. Then you can see those like smudge and smear on top of your paint layer. So this is like the next step to realism. Next to bump, you have roughness variations. Then try to hit the colors, so that the color is not too dark, that the colors are matching together. all those things. I mean, it's not really magic. It's just taking your time, having a good eye, having a good taste, try to match everything together, and just take your time, build channel by channel and step by step. Only build the roughness, then only build the bump variations, then only build the colors. So this is what you have to do, step by step. Play with, like as I told you before, finish always every channel, like every roughness value, every grunge map, every noise map, every smart mask, every paint, finish it off with levels, just to soften it up, maybe make it a little sharper, depending on what you want to have. And try to recreate like those dirt spots, those rust spots looking different than dirt. Dust is really soft. If you add dust, try to get like a more brownish, a gray brownish color for dust. Dust is less reflective, so you have a high roughness value, almost like 1 to 0.9 for dust, and dirt is maybe like 0.7. For the default paint layer, so the base color, the paint layer, which is like gray bluish, I went for like a roughness value for like 0.4, so it has a nice reflection. I don't use metal for the paint, but for the roughness I make sure that you enable metalness and put this metalness value to 1, so that this is really that has really a strong and rich and dark tone and a strong reflection. And not really a strong reflection, because of course the rust is not reflective, but it has like a really strong metalness. And then basically you're good to go. You can finish it off with like a dust layer. So get maybe like a dust, like a smart mask and a dust, and just have a high roughness value to make it less reflective, and get like a brownish, like a gray brownish color. Again, as I told you, play with the levels. And this is basically what you do. All right, and I think this is it. I will just show you in the end. Let me just show you the outcome, because I just took my time, played around with different layers. Yeah, this is basically it.